Wait, Hold Up What? A podcast from the women behind Eliminate Girl Hate. Stories are the foundation of progress, and for too long, the voices of women and marginalized communities have been ignored or silenced. At Wait, Hold Up What? We're reclaiming space to share the struggles, triumphs, fears, and joy that shapes our lives. Join us as we explore the intersections of identity, equity, and empowerment, offering education, support, and a little inspiration along the way. Whether it's breaking barriers, celebrating wins, or tackling the tough stuff, this is a space for everyone to feel seen, heard, and uplifted. We invite you all to join the conversation and help us explore ways to eliminate girl hate together. Can a bra help change the trajectory of a girl's life? Did you know that nationally, only 20% of girls engage in at least 60 minutes of daily physical activity, a lower rate than boys? Or that girls' participation in sports drops off significantly from the ages of 10 to 17? Wait, hold up, what? Yeah. Some of the barriers that contribute to this include lack of financial means, lack of role models, dropping body confidence, and concerns about body changes, including breast development and the need for a sports bra. The simple intervention of a sports bra, along with the normalization of body development, can change the trajectory of a girl's relationship with body movement for her whole life. You heard that right, her whole life. Every girl deserves to feel comfortable and confident in her own body. And that's why Bras for Girls partners with more than 25 athletic brands and donors just like you to distribute new, high-quality sports bras and breast development booklets to girls in need, ranging from the age of 8 to 18. Let's get girls in well-fitting sports bras right when they need them the most. Girls plus sports equals a beautiful world. You can donate to Bras for Girls today at brasforgirls.org. And as a side note, Eliminate Girl Hate has partnered with brasforgirls.org and will be donating a proceed of all merchandise sales to helping girls get in the bras that they need and keep them in sports. You can help by shopping the Eliminate Girl Hate store today. Did you know that 80% of the world's purchases are influenced and made by women? Or that 90% of product development, manufacturing, and corporate leadership is led by men? I don't know about you, but that seems like some funky, disconnected math. This disconnect means large segments of the population are not getting their needs met because the products being made never even asked us what problems we needed to solve. Instead, companies use a pink it and shrink it philosophy. Not familiar? I bet you are. You know it. Take a man's product, make it smaller, paint it pink, sell it for 25% more. Then, when the products fail to make a dent in the market or to sell rapidly, they say things like, the market wasn't ready. Or, we were so sure it was going to work, I wonder what happened. And then they move on. I'm here to tell you, the market is most definitely ready. But the market is savvy. And putting some paint and saying it was designed for us is a slap in the face. We have real needs, and we're not settling for anything less than real solutions. If this sounds familiar to you and your business, then it's time to connect with Eliminate Girl Hate. We help businesses understand the lucrative consumer segment of women and how to meet their needs in authentic ways. From problem solving, product creation, marketing, and even human resource practices, we help create safe and equitable spaces for the female segment. And these safe spaces increase profit margins, employee retention, and brand loyalty along the way. It's time to start a revolution and meet your consumers where they are. It's time to eliminate girl hate. Check us out, eliminategirlhate.com, and find out how we can help your business today. Hi, y'all, and welcome to Wait, Hold Up What? Season 2, Episode 7, if you can believe it. I don't know how we're here. Thank you for joining us. So I'm just going to jump in today. It's just me, no guests, but I promise some really good guests are coming up soon. Recently, I was spending time with my nephews. Now, if you know me and you're listening, you know I'm pretty obsessed with my nephews and now my new little niece. But I was spending time with two of my nephews, and The older one, he just broke my heart. He's the sweetest thing ever. Like, I can't even express it. And he was being so adorable with his brother. So we're sitting in the room and I'm kind of babysitting him. And I was asking the younger one, like, what happened in school today? How was it? And he starts telling me this story about the kids. And he said, whatever it was that was happening, he's like, and then they called me weird. And I was like, oh, but before I could even get to anything, his older brother jumps in and says, he hits pause on his video game even. And he says, that's okay. People call me weird all the time. And we kind of both look at him and he says, when that happens, I just go outside and play by myself and I have fun. So if they think that's weird, it's okay because I'm having fun. And he kind of looked over at me and gave me like a little smirk as if he knew how proud I was going to be of him in that moment. And he was so right. But my heart, while swelling 10 size, it also cracked a little, right? Because it's this moment of knowing. It's a crack of why is the world like this? And why do we repeat those patterns? And when I watch them and it goes into the evening and I get to put them asleep, one of the things that I do is we, as a group, say goodnight, but then I put each one of them to bed individually and we have a little conversation. And so I went and I talked to the little one and we talked about weirdness, and it was sweet. And I'll keep that conversation to myself because I do want some of these things to be sacred, right? But I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened with the older one without giving too much away. So I go into his room. He's always the last because he's the oldest. And so our conversations tend to get a little bit deeper. And I was chatting with him and I just said, does it make you sad when people call you weird? And he said, sometimes. And this moment gave me hope. The sometimes. This recognition that maybe it's a bad thing, but maybe it's a good thing, it really gave me hope because when I was a kid, being called weird crushed me. And I was called weird a lot. And sometimes that connotation or the way in which the word weird was used towards me, it stuck and it stayed. I don't even want to say sometimes. I am about to turn 49 and it still stays with me. I can go to specific moments throughout my life when someone used weird or a version, a synonym of weird to put me down or put me in my place. And I just, it crushes you. It does. And if it doesn't, please email me and tell me how it doesn't, right? And it was such a constant description in my life. Like if I think about the words that were being used from the playground to the boardroom, it has been used to classify me and box me in. And the weight of that often led to me shrinking and dreaming of what it would be like to be normal or average or like everyone else. And I'll admit to you, that's embarrassing to say out loud because I am always like, do you, be authentic, be the best version of you, but I'm also human, right? And all of my favorite people are weird. All of my favorite artists are weird, musicians are weird, leaders, speakers, you name it, because they stand out from the background. And when you do that, you change the world in the process because you're showing the world the possibility. And yet, for some reason with myself, that's harder to embrace. And I think it's because being weird is hard. The way in which we define weird, right? It's being different, and being different is hard. How do you navigate a world that isn't made for you or made for people that are different? And I gotta believe that the reason people use it against you is because they're afraid of that magic, that light, that energy that your particular version of weirdness brings into the world. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what they're afraid of. I think it's probably different based on what the weirdness is, because embracing your weirdness and your authenticity, it's such an act of vulnerability. It's putting yourself out there in a way that isn't without risk. And it invites people you're inviting people to know who you really are. And the world has taught us maybe we shouldn't trust that, and maybe that shouldn't be for everybody.
And it's funny because I think one of the things that connects humanity is the desire to be seen or to be known or to be accepted. And yet, if we're not vulnerable and we don't put our whole self out there, we're never seen and accepted as our whole self. And so we often conform and we try to be like everyone else, and it's counterproductive. So I thought maybe there's a way that we can unpack this concept of weird, right? So I'm going to look over here at my notes for a second for those of you watching, because I want to pronounce and say this right. So the actual word weird comes from an old English word. And now that I'm realizing it, I don't actually know if it's pronounced weird, wired, but it's WYRD. And the definition of that old English word means fate or destiny. So wait, hold up. What? Oh, how cool is that? There's no negative connotation to that. It's your destiny to be weird. God, I love this. Okay. So the word has evolved, obviously, right? Over time, it's got this more general meaning. So at first, in this kind of process of how words developed and form over time, it was given a connotation of meaning unusual or unexpected. And even this is kind of dope, right? Because it's being out of the ordinary or unexpected still doesn't have a negative connotation. It's just something we weren't expecting. And yet, in our culture, the word weird is more often than not seen and offered up with a negative connotation, as if something is wrong with the fate of being unusual or unexpected. And I'm going to be honest, when I was researching the word and the etymology, guys, did you hear me use the word etymology? I think I even used it right. When I was researching that, I had to sit, really let it kind of fold over me. And I was looking at how kind of the way in which we take a word and almost bastardize the word to mean something negative as this protective layer for us. You're calling somebody weird because you don't understand what they're doing. But also, culture has made this really interesting shift, both for the positive and the negative, right? With the introduction of the internet and the introduction of social media. And what it has done is it has taken every level and form of, let's say, entertainment, right? Television, music, movies, art. It has taken all these expressions of storytelling and these, what do you call them? Avenues of storytelling. And we no longer need 100 million people watching a show for it to be successful. We no longer need to earn X number of dollars to have success. And it's created these niche populations where no matter what your weird is, you can find it and you can find other people that have that same weird. And this creates what I think was the result of my nephew saying, "Does it make you sad to be weird?" And he said, "Sometimes," because it probably depends on the environment that you are in. And as we talked, again, I'll keep most of this conversation private, but one of the things that I said to him is, "I don't know if you know this, but Aunt D is very, very weird. And people have been calling me weird for my whole life. Even yesterday, someone called me weird and his eyes got all big and he looked at me and I said, but that used to make me sad. And then I found weirdos just like me. And I found people that like the things that I like to do and celebrated the things that I like to do. And I said, so now I refer to myself as a beautiful weirdo. And I embrace all the weirdness. And I go in the places that make it feel less of a negative and more of a positive." And we had a really long discussion about that and finding your people. And the reason I'm bringing that conversation here today, number one, I talk a lot about this in circles of women because so often than not, the things that make us unique are often used against us. They're called weird, they're called strange, there's all of these things. And so we are made to conform in the places where we work, learn, and play. And yet, all of this beautiful magic that comes with being weird, all of this beautiful nuance and new things that come to the table from being weird. And that really was a lesson for me, right? I have been called weird in boardrooms. I've been told I have a quirky sense of self, that my brand doesn't fit into the company or place that I am. And it's so short-sighted, right? Because it can be used to make you shrink. And oftentimes I did do that because I didn't know what to do with the information. I think what I've come to realize is that your opinion of me doesn't matter. Now, that is so much easier to say than it is to feel. I post a social media video online and someone makes a negative comment, and that comment might be about my looks, about the way that my face contorts when I talk because I'm very animated, or my opinion. And sometimes you can say, wait, is that the world? Am I wrong? Or are they wrong? And we try to box things into places. But the exercise of the work that I'm doing and the exercise and work that I do when I coach women or talk to women is being able to block out the noise, because those opinions are not my business unless I want them to be my business. Now, the struggle that I have always had with this is, if I ignore what people say about me, am I narcissistic? Do I have an ego? Am I overconfident? Am I a jerk? 'Cause I never want to be seen as those things. But again, that is putting negative labels on things that might not need a negative label. And you know in your heart of hearts who you are. And if you don't, that is what growing up, that is what aging, that is what being out in the world is about, right? In order for us to be truly actualized as human beings, we have to have this realization that life is about learning. You never stop learning in your life. And if you do, if you stay closed off to the lessons that life presents you, you do not grow as a human being. So what is actually the point of being here? I don't believe stagnation is the point of anything. And even if you look historically at us as a world, right? It's about going out, finding new things, innovating, doing all of these wonderful things to take your generation or your lifespan and evolve it further than the ones that were before you. And so my journey is to learn and to become fully who I am supposed to be in this universe. And again, these are all very esoteric concepts that aren't always easy to fully, I don't know, live in, if you will. And so it's a constant struggle. It's a constant battle of saying, okay, what feels right to me? And so oftentimes when I get a negative comment or backlash, or somebody doesn't like what I said, what I do, I sit with it. So I was in this coaching session with a woman yesterday. And again, I'm not going to give details, just a small snippet. And we talked about the opinions of others and this tendency for us in conversations and in dialogue with people to immediately react to whatever is being said. So the practice or the suggestions that we talked about was saying, thank you for that feedback. I need to sit with it for a minute. That's it. You don't need to explore or expand any information. And the reason that I'm using that now is because it allows me to process and to figure out what of that feedback was meant for me and what of it I need to return back into the world, right? Or what of it I need to throw away. Because everything has layers of keep and throw away, right? And only you get to decide what to do with that. And so if I take that beat and go back, I can then go back to the person and again say, I really appreciate that you gave me that feedback. Here's how I'm receiving it. Here's how I'm taking it. And it's not about defending your point of view. It's not about retaliating or reacting. It's about having genuinely safe and open, authentic conversations so that people can understand how things impact. Because in the social media world, we live in a place in where we can shout into a void, without the repercussions of what that does to people. And it's a constant struggle, right? Because we think we're good people. And it's all these good people that are putting out hate. It is. And we don't know we're doing it, but we get so upset or frustrated about something that we seemingly think, how can you not know that this is this or that or whatever it is, that we then react without thinking. And it creates this universe where we build conformity, or we build people that think, why can't I be normal? Why can't I be like everybody else? When the truth is that it is the beautiful weirdos that are changing cultures, that are advancing the cause, that are fighting for other people because they have experienced the pain that comes with being othered and different. And so they have this empathy and compassion for others to allow their weirdness to come in. And then the beautiful thing is, if we turn social media on its head, you can find community in the places where your weirdness is celebrated. And you can find things that make you feel seen and heard and valued. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're all looking for. And it's this acceptance for warts and all, or, quirks and peccadillos and all of those things. And I really loved that conversation with my nephew because I felt like I learned something from him in it. And it was so subtle. It's not like he was like, Auntie, let me tell you how you should live your life as a weirdo, right? And I think we don't, I don't know, you can tell me how you feel, but there often seems like there's this battle between generations. And I never quite understand it because every person who enters your life is a lesson. I truly believe that. Old, young, same age, middle, male, female, non-binary, right? Like different religions, different belief systems. It's all taught to help you center yourself in your beliefs and the type of world that you want to live in. And yet, I think sometimes we don't value the lessons that come from obscure places, or the places we don't think we should be getting the lesson. We want an expert, right? But now everybody claims to be an expert, even in this podcasting world, right? When it was suggested to me that I start a podcast, the literal first thing I said was, why in the world would anybody want to listen to me? And you know what? They might. This all might go into a void. 20 or 30 people might listen to it, and that's it. But if it provided something for one of those people, then it was worth doing. And that is a lesson I had to learn in a world in which we're told you need to be an influencer, and success looks like that. It looks like 100,000 followers or whatever it is. But my goal is to have an impact in the world. Who am I to say how big or small that impact should be? Because I could impact one person and that person could go on to impact the world. And that is for all of us. And we look at success being so, or having to be so big. And what that does is it creates a mindset of never being content and never being satisfied because you didn't do as much as the person next to you. And it creates these unrealistic plateaus to reach. I don't know. That's not to say that you shouldn't strive for whatever greatness looks like for you. And for some people, that's 100,000 likes. But what happens when that goes away? Does your purpose, does your value go away? I do a lot of coaching on finding your why, or speaking coaching, whatever you want to call it. The word coaching is always so weird to me. But when we talk about it, so many people refer to their why as these outside things that can be taken away from them. And I think even when you kind of study this concept, which I've done a lot of, that is where we might get the concept of our why wrong. If you're living for another human being, what happens when that human being goes? Whether it be death, or whether that just be that person was a season and a reason, not a lifelong thing for you. You adjust, right? And so when we really look at our whys, when we really look at our purpose, and we really look at our passion, it is something really wholly internal. And you have to dig deep to find it, because I think sometimes what's the word I'm trying to use for this? It's like you're looking at something that you can like package into something small and catchy, a phrase, whatever. And life is going to throw all these hiccups your way. And your why is very rarely impacted by hiccups. Now, I say rarely because life has this way of making you question everything, especially when you're going down one of those roads that isn't exactly easy. And it's okay to question. It's okay to refine along the way. Again, that is the process of life. That's the process of learning, the process of growing. It's what we were put here for. And so refinement is fine. If I've learned anything, is that I don't know anything for sure. And that if I am open to the learnings and the teachings of the universe and the people and the experiences that I have, I can be okay internally, and I can feel good in my spirit and my soul while still remaining open to what the world has to offer. And I think as we look at the trying times that we are currently in, it can be very easy to get sad. But I want us all to keep that word sometimes in our brains and our mind and our soul and our spirit. I don't know, put it up on a wall, whatever works for you. Is that everything changes. Every day, every minute is this opportunity for something to switch. It's for an opportunity for something to go awry, which I pointed up, which I meant to say something to go great when I pointed up, and something to go awry. And there are no good decisions. There are no bad decisions in life. They are just decisions that lead us to a path for the next decision. Everything can be corrected. Everything can be detoured. And so if we think about the concept of sometimes, and we think about this concept of reframing how we think about ourselves and how we think about the way in which people box us in, we can embrace being beautiful weirdos. We can realize our worth and path and lean in these beautiful ways. And it can be easy to lean into the negativity and to believe the negativity, but we don't have to. And that takes practice, because the world does tell us a lot of negative things, or it tells us we got to buy this product in order to be seen as, especially as women, right? As beautiful, as successful, as appropriate. And depending on where you look, someone's going to have a different opinion. So if you're living your life based on everybody else's opinions, you're never going to find this level of contentment or joy, or be able to access it in positive ways, because you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I don't want us to do that. I want us to lean into all of the amazing things that make us unique and authentic. And again, I struggle with this so much. And so I love that my nephews are teaching me, that young people are teaching me all of these things. And I love that this generation before me is also using their voice now to share what they went through and share the lessons they learned, so that I can take from that and I can use all of that to bolster myself and the way that I feel and the way that I come into the world as a fully formed, I'll own it, beautiful weirdo. And I don't want to make apologies for that anymore. And so what I want to say to you is embrace that beautiful weirdo. Lean into who you are. Know that you are dope. Our only responsibility in this world is to make it better, to not spread hate, and to fully embrace who we are and be as authentic as we can. We don't know the world anything else. Don't hurt people. Don't hurt yourself. And eliminate girl hate in its connotation, because I get asked all the time, and I know I repeatedly try to validate our name or whatever, and I shouldn't do that. But I want to put perspective on it. Yes, Eliminate Girl Hate is about all of the hate that girls, women, and those who identify as such receive in the world, the messages they get that tell them they are not enough. It is also that concept, whether true or imagined, this is for another episode, of girl on girl hate, how we're supposed to compete with each other because there's only room for one of us. Such a lie. But then there's also that self-hate that as women and girls, we're often taught to bear. And eliminating that is so important. And it's why our logo is a heart. It's why we use the term girl, because a lot of that messaging and that training or brainwashing, if you will, starts when we are young. It starts when we are girls. And if we can learn, to just fully embrace who we are and to love it and to understand that not everybody is going to love it and that that's okay. You don't have to like me. That's why I have certain friends and not other friends, right? Not everybody is going to like me. And why in the world I thought they all needed to doesn't mean it doesn't hurt when somebody doesn't or expresses that they don't, because, no one likes to hear that. But I was listening to this interview on the Jennifer Hudson show with Keke Palmer. And can we all just agree, like, that woman, she got such a light. But she was talking about how she's learned to reframe things. And she said, if I don't get a role in the movie, I reframe that to say that movie's not going to be as good as it would have been if I had been in it. She's like, you may call it delulu or delusional, but I call it a reframing. And I love it because my first inclination was, well, I get it. Keke Palmer can do that. Look at her. Look how talented she is. Look how beautiful she is. Look at how smart she is. And yet I don't think that applies to me. By the way, I always forget because I'm looking at myself as I do this, which is a really weird concept. But I make these faces and I realize not everybody is watching the video. Some are just listening, but I just made some really weird faces because how wild and crazy is it that I will give permission for someone else to have that kind of confidence and not myself. And so I'm reframing these conversations. I know how dope I am. I know what I bring into the world. And I just need to stand firm in that. Look, that doesn't mean I can't be open to feedback and conversations with people and evolve. But at the heart, I know who I am. And if you don't know who you are, that's where you need to get centered. Get centered in who you are. Spend some time with you. Start to love spending time with you. Because, girl, I am my best friend. And that may sound weird. I don't even care. I love weird, right? It is unexpected. It's unexpected to love yourself. So shock the world. Love who you are. Embrace your beautiful weirdo. And until next time, thank you for joining Wait, Hold Up, What? Wait, Hold Up, What is brought to you by the women at Eliminate Girl Hate. We are edited and mixed by the good people at Epiphany Recording Studio. Make sure to subscribe to get notified of new episodes and support our program. To learn more about the work we are doing, get resources to help you and or your business, please visit us at eliminategirlhate.com. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at Instagram at wait.holdup.what and eliminate_girl_hate. As always, your support means everything to us, and it is the way that we can continue to make positive and uplifting program that supports women and girls around the world. Thank you.
How many times have you heard the words workplace and culture used together and found yourself rolling your eyes at the thought? Believe me, I'm with you. I'll be honest, as I record this, I just rolled my eyes. That's because the word culture has become homogenized in such a way that they actually had us believing ping pong tables and pizza were symbolic of a good place to work. COVID changed that. Remote work was a success in the eyes of many, and as such, our ideas of what constitutes a good workplace culture have changed, and it boils down to one crucial element: equity. Now, don't you roll your eyes again on me. It's true. The expectation of employees is that they have a work environment and culture that works for them, regardless of who they are. No more cookie cutter swag and Pizza Hut deliveries, mandatory after hours, happy hours, and all of the other things they do to make us feel like we're a family. This is especially true for women. Remote work gave many more hours in the day, the flexibility to feel more productive and present, and a choice in how and what style of work is best for who they are and what they do. This is at the core of what equity means, because the old way was made for one group of people. And this is where Eliminate Girl Hate comes in. We help create safe and equitable spaces for girls and women, and we help the companies that employ them be more profitable in the process. Not rolling your eyes anymore, are you? Check us out at eliminategirlhate.com. Use code WAITHOLDUPWHAT in your contact form for a free consultation call and see how we can help you and your business. We are sponsored by Epiphany Recording Studio. Creativity needs to flow freely if you want to reach that aha moment that we're all looking for. At Epiphany Recording Studio, their goal is to create space that takes full advantage of those moments. From podcast and video production to music creation, you get the support you need to create compelling stories with a competitive sound. Your ideas can flow freely because they partner with you free of judgment, ready to be vulnerable, do the work, and make your projects look and sound their best. So let Epiphany Recording Studio help you reach your artistic vision by visiting them today at epiphanyrecordingstudio.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.